everyone. Welcome back to the Blast Off. So excited to come to you today because we've got some just out of this world, maybe, stories to talk about. And so we'll just jump right into it. You know, for the longest, well, literally since humans could figure out that we were humans and we were kind of special, we've always wanted to know, are there other intelligent beings out there? Or as we referred to in our other Blast Off episode about looking for aliens, semi-intelligent beings out there. And so recently some semi-old footage has surfaced that brings all of this into light and has now drummed up all of this fascination once again. So joining me is my amazing, awesome, cosmically great co-host, future Dr. Sarah Webb. Sarah, what's the scoop on this story?
Thank you. So when I first saw it, I got so excited because I'm a huge fan of X-Files and all things weird and wacky and the logic behind conspiracy theorists. And so the naval forces for the US have just released these 2 or 3 videos that are apparently UFOs, so unidentified flying objects. And of course, people are like, UFOs, alien, it has to be alien. And so we'll pop the footage in while I talk. And so you can probably see there's this little tiny black dot and it whizzes around, looks kind of circular, but you can't really see what it is. And it happens for a couple of seconds. And so there's a couple of footages like this. And so these are leaked about a year ago. And so the Navy has officially declassified them for public viewing. And so it's not new footage, but the fact that it's been declassified is really interesting because it means that there's nothing there that the government thinks is proprietary information. So of course there's some conspiracy theorists going on saying that yes, there are aliens and the government wants us to know. But I think it's more likely that this footage, although it looks very interesting, is most likely either an optical illusion or another easily explained phenomenon. And so there's a thing in life, and we use it a lot in science, called Occam's razor. And my partner is a huge fan of this. No matter whatever happens, he's always like, Occam's razor. And so what it means is that the simplest explanation is more often than not the correct explanation. And this happens in all aspects of life. You can overthink things, but a lot of the time, the simplest answer is the answer. And so I think when looking at this example, the simplest answer is probably they're not alien UFOs. But I myself am a fan of Murphy's Law. So I like to think, what if? And although I don't believe these are UFOs, I did a little bit of math for y'all to try to figure out if they were little green men visiting from our closest star, how long would it take them to get here and why would they just pop in for 2 seconds? Okay, so we're going to go on a bit of a math roller coaster. So our closest star is a beautiful star called Alpha Centauri, and it's about 4.3 light years away. And now a light year is a bloody huge amount of distance to travel. It is mind-bogglingly large. So to try wrap our heads around it, the fastest man-made object that humans have ever created to date is the New Horizons spacecraft. It's currently traveling at 63 kilometers per second. Imagine that, 63 kilometers every second. That's rapidly fast. Okay. So imagine we have some little green men at Alpha Centauri. They can make a New Horizons-like spacecraft. How long would it take them to get to Earth? And so this is where the idea of aliens, intelligent aliens or UFOs visiting Earth becomes wildly unrealistic in an astronomer's eyes. So it would take, traveling at ridiculous amounts of speed, 29 million years to go from point A to point B. And that's our closest star, one that we know is probably not habitable because of the type of star it is. And that's just wild. And the cooler question is, okay, so imagine they did do that. They traveled for 29 million years, a really long journey, and then they get here and they pop in for 2 seconds. Doesn't seem that likely to me. But that does bring us to, we aren't alone in our solar system. We do have some alien friends, don't we, Rebecca?
Yeah, so thanks for that great explanation. I always think it's easy, like we see these phenomenon that we can't explain and we want to come up with these really complicated answers. And I appreciate that we certainly as human beings don't have all the answers when it comes to physics and technology. But I also think too, that we would, with conspiracy theories, think that a government agency, that their technological advancement or understanding would be so far beyond the layman again, just comes back to Occam's razor, and that a lot of times the simplest answer can be true. And that's where a lot of these theories really can break down. But never fear. There's always something interesting going on in our wonderful little neck of the universe. So recently, astronomers had discovered that we do have some more interlopers in our solar system. And over the last couple of years, we've discovered some asteroids, and one was a comet that we think came from outside of our solar system. So imagine like the little New Horizons spacecraft, but this is something that's been around probably since the beginning of our solar system, or even older, so billions of years old. And it's just hanging out in space, but then all of a sudden our solar system is forming, and it gets grabbed by this, big nebula that's going to turn into our star, and it's captured forever on this wonky orbit way out beyond Jupiter, in between Jupiter and Neptune, and just out there, and we barely even know that it exists. And now, thanks to some computer simulations, we think there are about 24 alien asteroids inhabiting our solar system. So, the idea that we think we're in this isolated space certainly doesn't really hold up. And space has existed for a long, long time, and so is our solar system. And so that's plenty of time for some very, very fast-moving objects like asteroids or comets to come in from between stars or from other stars to make it into our solar system. And I was actually so glad that you mentioned Alpha Centauri, because that made me think our star is formed from this nebula, and if there was this debris like they look into in this article, well, just where would these other objects have formed? And would it have been at a time when, our sun was sharing material that it turned into with other stars before they became born? And so that made me think, well, could it have been from the same nebula that Alpha Centauri formed from? And this is another really interesting field of astronomy called stellar astrophysics, where literally we can use instruments and telescopes to look at stars and to see how fast they're traveling. And one great way, just how we could tell that these asteroids were likely not from our solar system, was by looking at the path that they travel in and the speed that they travel in. And so looking at stars near us, we can see if we think that we all probably formed about the same time from the same material, given of what we're made of, but also the speed that we're traveling. And so I was a little bit bummed, because it seems like maybe Alpha Centauri didn't form from the same nebula as Earth. But just another great question that's out there for us to answer. And so thanks to these little interstellar intruders, these aliens, it's helping us learn more about the complexity of solar systems and objects that travel through space, and that our star not only, it became our star, the nebula that made it, but then formed all the planets and asteroids and comets we have in our solar system. And just, that wasn't even enough. It had to capture some other asteroids and bits from other solar systems. So it's a very amazing place that we live in. And, we'll continue to certainly search for evidence of other intelligent life out there. But in the meantime, if we don't ever find that, I think there's plenty of other interesting discoveries that we can make along the way.
I certainly agree. And I also think it's quite interesting that, so we have captured these objects from different parts of the universe, of our galaxy, and brought them into our solar system, which means that our solar system might have also flung out some objects, and more than likely did fling out dust and debris as it was forming, which means that there's other little parts of the universe out there in our galaxy that have a little bit of our solar system in them, which is so cool. And there's a field in science called panspermia, which is about can life be transferred from place to place around the universe? So is life itself easy to form, or is life abundant? So is it easy for this to be able to have an easy path around the galaxy by transferring amino acids and different particles here and there? And so if you want to learn more about that, we do have an episode which is full on what aliens, where could they come from, how did they get here, where did they go, on our YouTube channel. So you should check that out if you like some quirky theories.
And so until the next amazing space story comes along, which will probably just be in the next few days, thanks for joining us on the Blast Off.